I was reading this article, and it was talking about being able to heal 7 generations up and 7 generations down, and I had talked about how one of the visions that I had for me in service of, entrepreneur dads with many kids was that inside of your family tree, inside of your lineage, that you become this dad, this myth, this legend, right? And so this article that I was reading this morning said this, right? If we break the chain of addiction, violence, or other inherited limiting beliefs, our children and their children and those who follow them are given access to possibilities not available to the ancestors, and thus the entire lineage evolves. So as a contributor, and there's a quote attached that I love. It says, "You are a link in a chain of causations that stretches before and after your life for 1,000 generations." And it's so cool to see and understand that, right? If you go back inside of your lineage, inside of your dad, your dad's dad, your dad's dad's dad, like all of those, and same thing with your grandmother, you start to understand and see pattern, right? Whether it's like here it talks about addiction or violence or limiting beliefs. Because sometimes people are like, oh yeah, you know what, my family, we didn't have any addiction or violence. But you're like, yeah, but you had limiting belief, right? Like as in, well, people like us, we do. Or when you're from here, you can only. Those are limiting beliefs, and those beliefs get passed on down the line to the next one, right? Like for example, in the U.S., we have more dad afraid to have their kids, for example, dance. Because they're afraid that if the kids dance, the kid is going to go this direction. And he doesn't want the kids to go this direction. So it's like, no dancing. Let's go hunting, fishing, football. That very just this way. Because the fear. And sometimes that fear doesn't even come from the dad. It comes from here. Or maybe the dad is the one that just made that seed grow. And that seed is going to get passed on to his kid, to the next one, to the next one. That's fear. Versus understanding that dancing is just flow of energy. You're feeling music and then you're just moving with it, whatever that looks like, right? There's not any right or wrong. There's this, inside of our studio, there was a dancer. She had this huge sign for one of our little pep rally, and it was amazing. I loved it. It said, "Dance is a superpower. Everybody has it, but only a few are brave enough to unleash it." Now, in cultures, right? Doesn't matter where, dancing has always been there. Always, always, always. Because music is there, and you're moving, you're feeling, and then you're just expressing yourself, you're releasing. But now, it's almost you as just like, guys don't, we don't. We might just like stab, touch, but that's it. Like, we don't really move because you might be viewed as more feminine. Right? You're not a man. You're more feminine. Like, we don't do that. But that's not the truth. But if you accept that narrative, you accept that story, then guess what happened? You are passing that on to the next generation. So being able to go and seeing yourself, okay, thumbs down, in order to be able to see yourself as like this legend inside of your family tree, the one that can come in and heal 7 generations up and 7 generations down, like your life. That your life has the power to heal 7 generations up and 7 generations down requires you to have confidence in who you are and why you're here. Beyond your little job. And if you're an entrepreneur, beyond your little business. Right? Because we want to go and we want to provide and we want to protect. Right? Like that's what we do. As men, this is like inherently what we feel like, hey, I want to secure my kids' future. I need to provide. I need to protect my kids. But you forget that there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to it. There's things that we can't see. that only you knows. The challenges that you've been having. Right? Because many men will just keep that stuff inside. They would just go, close the door, maybe cry in silence, maybe keep that stuff in. But you have the power, truly, to heal 7 generations up and 7 generations down by facing the truth about where you at instead of body, being, balance, and business, all 4. But you gotta look at it differently. You have to look at it as truly you have that power to go and do that. But guess what? Most people don't. Most people don't look at themselves as having that power, being able to channel so that they can go and break those chains so that the next generation doesn't. It's like it's your turn at bat and you can decide to just get off or you can decide to keep swinging until you hit. Right? It's like you're there with this spiritual sword and the chains are here and you keep on hitting and you can decide to stop or keep swinging until they're broken. So that the next generation doesn't have to be, oh, you died, now you're dead weight, and now they keep on pulling everything like your dad did, like your dad did, like your grandma did, like your grandma did. Like you have the chance to be able to see it. And I want to have that visual because I think sometimes when you have that visual of what it looks like, you're looking down and everybody has this chain and some people have been swinging and eventually they stopped, they died, and you're still carrying them. But you have the opportunity to break it so that your kids don't have that. Clean slate. And you actually have the chance to give new habit, transforming it to new habits. Like dancing. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was little, I used to dance my butt off. Like you put Michael Jackson, I would dance, whatever. I would do the quick hands dancing. Right? Like Avery, my 5-year-old does. Like I would do all that type of stuff. I'm just loving it. Just feeling the music, whatever the vibration I'm getting, I'm giving it out. And then as I became older, it became this thing of judgment. If I do it, but I'm not maybe like my rhythm is not with the tempo, people would just look at me and I just don't want to dance. Right? And so I went to protection mode. Protection mode for me meant just one thing. Boom. That's it. That's the only thing I knew how to do. I always spoke fast. And so therefore people always had a hard time understanding what I was saying, right? And even after, when I went from Africa to Europe, there was like a little, the way I was speaking was not the same. Then I went from Belgium to the US, my accent was there. And so I always had this barrier inside of communication. So the only thing I would do is just elevate, close my fist, and just ready to fight. Anybody, doesn't matter who you are. I was just ready to fight. Right? But then when I look up the line, I wasn't the only one like this. There were others that whenever they felt attacked were ready to fight in 2 seconds. Like there's not many thoughts. Because I know inside of my lineage there were many warriors. Many. And sometimes the challenge with the warrior is that the warrior just knows how to fight. And sometimes the warrior doesn't know that sometimes you need to put the shield and the sword down. But until I understood, because I did my research, because I did inside work, because I work on personal development, because I was able to get a little bit of abundance and space to allow myself to go. I was willing to go and just have a new perspective on life. I was allowed myself to go and explore things that maybe were outside of the frame of what I was raised in. When I'm talking about the frame, I'm talking about this. Your stories, your beliefs, your rules, your regulation. This is your frame. And sometimes your frame, you're getting it from your family. You're getting it from your neighborhood. You're getting it from your city. Now, I'm blessed that I've lived in Africa, that I've lived in Belgium, that I'm living in the US, that I've seen many different frames. I was able to look at very objectively the different frames of what that look like. Allow myself to go and talk to people that don't believe in God. Right? There's people, they've never met somebody that does not believe in God. Period. Like I've met many. As I allow me to be able to have a different perspective of everything. And so that allowed me to go and do research and do different therapy work and do medicine journey to be able to come and heal things that I've received and that I thought were mine. But no, it has been, right? And my dad was an amazing dad. My dad, I can still remember laying on his chest, having the love, the hug, the kiss. My dad was living his own life always, just not trying to impress anybody, right? Always. And so it's not that I'm coming in from a place where like, oh, my dad was never there. No, he was there. And he was amazing, and he was loving, and he was providing and protecting, right? But also he was in a place where, hey, the rule is if you want an answer, you come and ask. I'm never going to come and give you guidance if you don't come and ask me. Because he had freedom since he was little. Always had freedom, right? And he's always been responsible, so he's always navigating his freedom the right way, right? Never got in trouble, just always just navigating the right way. But also understood that I have that in me, this sense of like, I'm so independent that I'm going to do the same thing with my kids. Like, I'm just not going to engage until they come and engage with me. But is that the right thing? Do your kids need to come to you when they have a challenge, or do you need to go to them and check in? Hey, checking in, how are you? Asking questions, being curious, right? And that's why most of my life, like, I've never really asked questions to people unless I needed something. I've never gone just to be curious and like checking in how you're doing. Because we're always in the doing, right? As men, we're always in the doing. I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. You're never in the being, like being present. Being here, holding space, listening. Like, it doesn't have to be a thing where you're so active all the time, right? It's about just being you. Being here, being now. And so understanding that you have the power to heal 7 generations up and 7 generations down. But you have to be the one that says, yes, I am. And a lot of people don't have it because they think they're insignificant. You know, the funniest thing to me, living in Belgium, was that many people never believed that they were more. Ever. Never believed that they could be the one to do something significant inside their family or inside their community. Ever. Right? And so it's like this thing, remember we talked about like this chain where just like there's all these different things like this addiction, violence, inherited limiting belief that your family have, and you're attached to it. And you have the chance to be the one that keeps on swinging at this chain so that your kids and your kids' kids are not attached to it. Not attached to it. But that requires some, people don't understand. It requires a level of being guided, of going through the fog and not understanding where you need to go, and doing so much deeper work to understand the things that needs to be broken so that you can move. It takes a level of like not being ashamed of the mistakes that you made so that they can have a clean slate, or as clean of a slate as possible, right? You didn't like school because maybe your parents didn't like school or whatever. That doesn't mean that this is a passed on to your kids. You can plant a new seed for them, right? Going to college is not it. I know some people are like, oh no, I just got to go to college. I'm like, no, college route is not for everybody. That is not the next logical steps. It's not. Right? But it's the easiest thing for a dad to do is, just gotta go to college. Versus you doing the work and you being able to have the honest conversation with your kids as they get older as to why you made some of the decisions that you made. But sometimes you have to have a different frame. And sometimes that means what? That means like you have to leave your country. Like sometimes literally leave your country so that this new opportunity is there. Yep. You got to leave your country and you have to leave your father's house. That means like all the rules and the regulation, and the laws and the thing that sometimes people look at you and they're like, I don't even know what you do. I don't know what you do. I'm confused. I'm confused. That's been most of my family confused. Like I don't really know what he does. Like he does videos. Like I don't know. He does videos. But like being willing to go there, to be able to understand that there is a bigger picture, and that there are things that you need to be able to continue to hit until they're fully broken, so that you can be free and allow them to fly as high as they need to fly, without being attached to you and your grandparents or your kid or your dad or your dad's dad, like all that stuff. But also requires you to go and do your due diligence, go ask the question, and then go do your inner work and work on yourself, personal development. Do you know that there's more women involved in personal development, meaning working on themselves, than there is men? There's a decrease in men going for education, as in just learning. A decrease. It's crazy to me. When you are there and you have this strong position and the strong radiation inside of your family to be able to go and do more, less men want to work on themselves. And I don't think it's because they don't want to work on themselves. I think it's because we're so into the doing, right? Like I need to bring money, like I need to go and do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, that you don't have enough time to actually be present, be with you, be with your own thoughts, so that you can go and understand like, oh man, like I'm just lost. Because once a man realizes where he is, then he can pivot and he can come closer to his family. He can be a lot more intimate with his family, a lot more connected to his family. Otherwise, he's just a slave. He's just slaving every day for a paycheck. Slaving. Always feeling like he's a wallet to his family. Like, oh, they need more money for this. Oh, they need more money for that. And he never has this space to be able to do it. And he doesn't know sometimes like why he feels the way he's feeling, because he never went, did the inner work, figured out that, wow, there's so many things that I'm carrying that are not even my own, but that I need to go and break so that they can have something clean. And the thing that I've realized that is funny to me is that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I start to see it, a pattern between the man that I'm coaching and even inside of my own, family, is that your daughters are going to connect with you as the dad more than mom. Your daughters are going to connect with you more as the dad than mom. And your son are going to connect to their mom more than their dad. So if there's things that you haven't fully broken, it is most likely going to go to your daughters. Most likely. Like I've seen it with a couple of guys that I'm coaching, and they were like, yeah, man, it's crazy. Like my son is fine. My daughter, she's like gaining weight. I'm like, you gaining weight too. And it is wild to see. Obviously, I have 6 kids, so I see a lot of different things instead of my kids, right? But it is an interesting thing. So in closing, I just want you to know that you have the power to heal the wounds of your ancestors. You have the power to break the chains 7 generations up and have a clear soil for 7 generations down by you becoming a free man. Not this king. Everybody wants to be a king, but not every king is a free man. So you have the power to go work on you, give them a clean slate, be okay being vulnerable, be okay saying I don't know, be okay leaving your father's home, your country, so that you can be this legend inside your family tree, and they can say like, yes, this guy, grandpa, great-grandpa, he's the one that left. He's the one that did this where everybody was doing this. He did that. A little crazy back then, but man, he wrote about it, and I'm so glad that he did, because I can see that it was hard, and I'm proud of who he was. Like, your life is more than your life today. You're here instead of a history of your family, but at some point, you're going to be here. So how do you want to be remembered? How are you going to be remembered? Listen, if you connect with this and you want more, you want to chat more, every Thursday, starting this week, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to have a quick masterclass, probably 90 minutes or so, when I talk more about that stuff. About like how can you actually be this chain breaker, this legend inside your family tree. So just click link in the bio and save your spot. But until then, Julian Marin signing out. Say remember to release it, be seen, don't hide. Peace out.